Hey, Zero to Pass coming at you with a deck project video. So, as some of you out there know, I also do dabble with Royal Paladin, and the last Royal Paladin premium deck I had was with Alfred. I really like this Alfred because it's a on-ride ability, and then the really cool thing about Alfred is you have a lot of moving parts that go along with Alfred. Let's see what you got. You got LaRousse, and let's see if I can find the pieces. Where are they at? So as you can tell, I've been been working on putting a deck together. Let me see where they at. Yeah, you got Luz. Here we go. So Alfred, LaRousse, or however you want to call it. You've got him as well, Sage Tarrant, was it Tarna? Yeah, Tarna. And then, yeah, Pat Gal. And then I liked to tech him in just because it was more easy way to get a hold of Flogal, because you definitely want Flogals to restand Blaster Blades, right? So I haven't played that deck for quite a long time. And the whole idea with that deck was to use Gancelots to make Blaster Blades have resist off on the rear guard and then just swing multiple times with Blaster Blade. So that's the deck I had a while back. That since has been deconstructed. More recently, I put together a pre-G Thingsaver, and Thingsaver's missing here because Thingsaver is in my new premium deck. And so this is basically the rest of the deck. This is pre-G era deck, and so taking Thingsavers out of here with a few of my Blaster Seekers, you'll see in this deck how we incorporate that. But that's another Royal Paladin deck that I have in my arsenal. And I was looking at how you could put some of the V-era cards together with Thingsaver and can you say G Station. I had put up a wonderful video about a year ago, actually, Thingsaver Majesty Lord Blaster, which I actually really like. This is going to be my own rendition of that. I think it may be a little bit more tuned, has less moving parts, perhaps more streamlined, and really, I'm liking the way it's panning out so far. One of the big questions that I had going into this project was, well, am I going to run Majesty Lord Blaster? Am I going to run this card? This is a really good card because it is a restander. Restanding Vanguard's extension that way is actually really powerful in the game. I've said in some of my other videos even more recently, those decks like Draconic Overlord are going to be reigning supreme up in the top shelf deck arena. And so this card, it kind of fits in there as well. You have to rest 3 grade 1s in the back row in order to use this. It's kind of restricting, and it doesn't really synergize well with cards like Lou, who need to be boosted by, say, for example, Barkle Friend Blaster Friend Barkle, because you can't, you can no longer rest that card after you've rested it to boost Lou. So there's some problems with this card. I do like this card though. If you're not going that route, trying to put those pieces in like Lou and stuff, it could work out pretty well. It's going to give you the gifts, which then allow you to then ride on to Thingsaver the next turn. However, Majesty Lord Blaster, in my opinion, it does it better. And so, but I did want to share this because, we did get our wonderful set that Bushiroad gave us with for Sanctuary Guard. Another card that you'll see that's missing in the deck is Lavaro. Lavaro is really good. There's arguments for why you might want to tech this in. This is Counterblast. Lua has Counterblast. I don't have those cards in my deck, as you'll see. Yeah. So let me go ahead and start showing you what I actually do have in the deck. So let me go ahead and put these cards aside here, and we'll get to it. So let's see here. Why don't we use this box here to put these in. See if this will just fit nicely. This was a a Wingull Brave that I pulled from a box, actually, of what was it, BT05. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, one of my buddies had a box sitting around in his basement. I picked it up off him and got lucky to pull another one of these in case I need another one. So finally into the deck. Just wanted to share some of my cards there with you. I really do like Royal Paladins. It definitely is one of those clans that I dabble in quite a bit, and but I don't really bring it to you guys. Kind of like Gears. These two guys, I do like their decks, and yeah, maybe I'll bring you my Gears deck at some point here. So I'm running Wingull Brave starter. I got my SP here. Really love this card. It puts on added pressure when boosting. If the attack hits, you put this in a soul, go get a blaster card out of your deck. It's really nice because you can go get Majesty Lord Blaster, you can go get Blaster Blade, or you can go get Blaster Dark, right? Because it just says, yeah, unit with Blaster. So it helps fix your hand in that way. You also could go get, where is it at? You could go get a Wingull Brave. No, you can't go get that. Doesn't have the Blaster. Which one am I looking for? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Blaster Friend. So you could even go get this as your counter charger. So really good card, really good starter. The weakness is Kagero, basically. Yeah, and I do play against Kagero. Kagero is definitely a weakness for that card. If you don't like it, you can definitely just go with Glime or whatever, a grade, or I should say the one of the V era starters, so that you can able to get a quick shield if you want. Just draw a card and get the quick shield if you want second. This is not bad. It's not a bad lineup, but this really helps fix if you're able to get it off. This is going to be basically a Force 1 deck. So you want your markers. Okay. Not going to really need this unless you decide to go that route. So you need your markers. I recommend Wingull Brave as your starter. And because this is Wingull Brave, you can only run, as I was kind of jumping the gun there, you can only run 3 of the grade 1 rework Wingull Brave, because you can only have 4 of the same name. So we'll start with grade 3s. Majesty Lord Blaster. Majesty Lord Blaster is awesome. If one of the Vanguard Rearguard, if Blaster Blade, Blaster Darker in the Soul, it gets +1 crit. So even on the Rearguard, it's going to get +1 crit. And if this is Vanguard, it also gets +5 and an extra drive check, which is pretty awesome. When it attacks, you put 2 Rearguards into the Soul and get 2 gifts. So you're going to write it, and then when you attack, you're going to get 2 more of these. 3 markers on 1 turn. I recommend putting 2 on Vanguard and then 1 off to one of the Rearguard circles. And you'll see why I would do that here in a bit. The next card is Thing Saver. Thing Saver's Legion era. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Legion era, the way it works is if your opponent's Vanguard is also a grade 3, what you can do is take 4 cards from your discard, shuffle them in your deck, and then search for the Legion mate, which in this case happens to be Blaster Seeker. And the way it works is on your Vanguard, you have the 2 cards. You actually have the 2 cards. This would be the Legion Leader, typically, and this would be the Legion mate. And when you attack, you get the force of both of these additive, which is really cool. Yeah, so really like it. And so this guy, what you do is after you attack, if this is in Legion, you counterblast 2, soul blast 3, discard 2 cards. You are going to then get one of these out of your deck, re-ride as stand, and then Legion from the soul, Blaster Seeker from the soul, and then you're going to do it again. And that's pretty much as many times as you're going to do it. It's 3 times because you only have so much damage, right? Because it costs 2 counterblasts both times. That's going to be 4 counterblasts. 6 counterblasts, you wouldn't be surviving the game any longer. So that's how Legion works. And basically every clan's got Legion. This happens to be a clan where Legion can actually do well, or at least do, you know, do something in premium. Dragonic Overlord decks that run their Legion, you can also do Legion there, pretty okay. Kagero players like to tech that in. You also have Phantom Blaster Abyss, which you might be able to do like with Chain Rancor. Here we're going to be doing it with Crystaluster, as you'll see once we get to our Gzone. But that's how Legion works, which is pretty cool, right? So yeah, so I already have this out here. Blaster Seeker on the rear guard, Counterblast 1 when this unit is placed on rear guard. If you have a Vanguard with Seeker in its name, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards and retire it. We're not really going to use that ability typically. You can see there's 2 different versions here. This was actually a misprint. It says Shadow Paladin on it. This is the one that came with the Alfred. These are LRs, Legion rares. So you can see the shinies with the frosted sparkles. I like to call it the cupcake sparkles that are on it. Yeah, really like this card collection here. Really love the artwork, and quite frankly, I would say this is probably one of my favorite cards in the game, aesthetically, and just the function of it is pretty powerful if you can get it off. So that's our first grade 2. I have it at 2 in case you damage one for some reason. I've got it there. If you happen to have this in your damage, you heal, you might want to actually choose this as the one that you put in your damage zone, because when you Legion, this could be one of the 4 cards that's in your discard, right? So the kind of things you're going to want to Legion back out of your discard, heal triggers, PGs, things like this, criticals, if you're going for the finishing turn, things like that. Those are typically what you're going to Legion in. It's also very important to watch how you're guarding, because you want to make sure you have that number in your discard. You may have to just throw some cards to make sure you have the 4, because it is a requirement to Legion that you actually shuffle 4 cards back in deck. So we definitely got our Blaster Blade. I'm using Viera Blaster Blade and Viera Blaster Dark. They're 10Ks. On place, Vanguard rear guard counterblast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row and retire it. This is a counterblast soul blast effect, so it's pretty heavy. If you have 4 or more rear guards, when it's on Vanguard, it's going to get +1 crit. It's typically not going to be the case. You may use the ability, the soul blast. It can be a little dangerous because you're going to want to have 6 soul available. You're slowly growing your soul as you keep doing Thing Saver, but you're also diminishing your soul, and you're diminishing your soul faster because every time you re-ride Thing Saver, you have one of those Thing Savers in the soul. So you want to be very mindful of your soul count in that regard. So you're typically not going to use that ability, but you could. Blaster Dark, on the other hand, when placed Vanguard rear guard counterblast, and your opponent just gets to choose one of their rear guards to retire. So if they're rushing you down, this is your ride. You may want to do that. The other cool thing is, if this is on Vanguard, once per turn you discard a card from your hand, you're going to get Twin Drive. So if your opponent put a rear guard out, they're trying to rush you down, you could counterblast to get rid of that one rear guard, and then you could Twin Drive, trying to put more pressure on, hopefully checking your critical in those 2 drive checks. So, and then lastly, this is where the deck might be a little perhaps controversial. I don't think so, but in terms of a project, in terms of this project, I'm using the When Light and Darkness Intersects. And so the way this card works is if you have a Blaster Blade in play, you can pitch this to go get a Blaster Dark. If you have Blaster Dark in play, you can pitch this to go get a Blaster Blade. If you have both of these in play on Vanguard Rearguard, you can pitch this to go get a Majesty Lord Blaster. I think that's really good. That allows you the opportunity to hand fix for these 3 cards. Levaro allows you to fix for these 2 cards, but it doesn't allow you to fix for that. And so that's why I've decided to go that route. Also, this doesn't require Counterblast or Soul Blast, which, in my opinion, is very valuable because this is really heavy. So Majesty Lord Blaster, no costs, right? Other than just bringing cards into Soul. There's no Soul Blast, there's no Counterblast. This and this very much assist each other. This is going to be your first ride typically. You're not using up your resources with regards to Soul and Counterblast, and that is going to allow you to have those resources available for your Thing Saver closing turn. Bringing cards into Soul is helping fuel the Soul, right? It's very important. So that's why I like this so much, and I would only run it at 3. The other the other copies, I should say the grade 1s, the rework of Wingle Braves, the grade 1, on attack, on boost, if hits, you can look at the, what is it, top 7, and go get a, blaster, a card with blaster in its name from among them, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck. You do not discard for this. So it's pretty good pressure. I like this. You know, this reminds me of Claw in Chaos Breaker, except this is 7. And yeah, so blasters, right? You could go with this, you could go with this, you could go with that. You could get this if you, for some reason, wanted it. And you could also go get Friend. So I have Sisyphus in here at 3. It's the grade 3 searcher. On Vanguard, rearguard, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. And hand fix with a grade 3 if you would like. Show it to your opponent, discard a card. And so with this, you're probably going to want to find that, because hopefully you've been able to find this. Right? Multiple ways to get into that, and redundancy is 4 and 4. You definitely want to, this is what I recommend. So you can already see right here, if you start like trying to tech in Levero, however you want to say it, and Lu into this package, you're starting to create more moving, more cogs in the wheels, if you will, more chances to break down. So one of the things I'm trying to really get across with this deck is what we call like a no moving parts or minimally moving parts. The deck just really, it is linear. It is linear, and that's not always a bad thing. That's not always a bad thing. How you're out-tempting your opponent, of course, that's not going to be really a linear thing going on. But the deck really wants to do one thing. It wants to go into MLB, use this package, and then go into Thing Saver to close it off. That's really what it wants to do. So we've got our counter charger. The way Friend works is on rearguard, when a card named Blaster Blade is placed on Vanguard or rearguard in the same column as this unit, if you have Vanguard with Blaster, its card name, you get to countercharge. So this will work very well for those early game plays where maybe you're riding onto a Blaster Blade, or you're calling Blaster Blade and you're on Majesty Lord Blaster. This will be very good at that point in time. Once you go into Thing Saver, you're no longer on a Blaster unless you, for some reason, were using a Stride that said Blaster Blade. Okay. So, but let me see here. Blaster Blade. But if you're in Legion, this does work because this has Blaster in its name. So you want to make sure to Legion first before you do this. If you're just on Thing Saver, you're trying to get back your Counterblast before Legion, that's not going to work. You got to Legion first because this has Blaster. So this is always online as long as you Legion. Okay? So, yeah, it just makes the deck more consistent, right? And then I've got 2 of the D-Era. I really like these PGs because if it's the last card in your hand or you just have 2 in hand, say these are the last 2 cards in hand, you're going to be able to perfect guard twice, right? Typically, we would have needed 4 cards in hand. This allows you to just use 2. This also says when it is put on rearguard, I believe put on and placed. I'm trying to remember if it means the same. Let me know. Let me know in the comments if there's a problem here. Otherwise, I can absolutely put where is it? I put him in here because you want to say not placed. You don't want it to say placed or put from hand, right? Because we have little Marin in here in the Gzone as a Guardian, which for 1 Counterblast, you can basically go get a PG and put it out there. So you also want to run grade 1s because decks that restrict grade 0s from guarding are a problem. And so this gives you some grade 1s. On that note, we definitely also can run grade 0 PGs, PG draws. This gives us a little bit of draw. I have 4 heals, of course. I have 4 Flogal. And so the way that this Flogal works, Floral Flogal, Counterblast 1, the way we're at the end of battle that your unit named Blaster Blade attack to Vanguard, you may pay the cost if you do. Choose up to one of your units named Blaster Blade on the rear guard and stand it. Return this back to your deck and shuffle it. So this is going to allow you to attack with Blaster Blade, and then that extra counterblast you have, because maybe you're at 5 damage, you're going to want 4 of that to do this twice, and you're going to want that extra 1 to be able to swing with Blaster Blade again. So that'll be 3 Thing Saver swings plus 2 blasters, that's 5. And if you're on cluster and you're forcing your opponent to have to guard with 3 cards each time, that's 15 cards from hand. That's pretty brutal, right? So definitely run this at 4, maximize it at 4. Chances are you're gonna get one of these in your hand by the time you need to do that play. So we're not really in this deck going for those early, like we used to play with old Sanctuary Guard, Blaster Blade, where we'd hang out on Blaster Blade on the grade 2, Lou, things like that, where we could force our opponent not to be able to stride, deny stride, right? You can't do that anymore. So I've opted to remove those moving parts from the deck, just to make the deck more consistent. So, and I'd love to hear your guys' take, whatever's working for you, whatever builds are working for you, whatever tweaks. Would love to hear it. So 3 stride fodder crits. I'm probably gonna go up to 4, and then I've got 3 of the go into soul. GB1, you on attack with your Vanguard, you put this in the soul, and your Vanguard gets +10, you draw a card. I do like it. It gives us a little bit more draw. We have the 2 draw triggers here instead of 4 of them because I've split this 2-2. This gives us a little bit more of that. So, and then the other thing I don't have here yet, but I'm thinking about is, do I want to go Ultima versus the Overtrigger? I think I'm going Overtrigger because Overtrigger is going to allow that Blaster Blade to drive check, and with 2 swings on Blaster Blade, or 3, or depending on how many Flogals I got out, I can definitely put more pressure on that way. And yeah, so remember, if you're new to Premium, the older triggers have got 5K for the added values instead of 10s. So I've got 4 of those in here, really trying to maximize the 10K in that regard. So that, be mindful of that as you put things in. If you go Ultima, you're probably going to want to put in, you're absolutely going to want to put in criticals. So if you went Ultima, you might want to go like 3 Flogal, one of these. Heck, you might want to go 4 and 2, but you definitely would want a critical and a stand so that you can stand all your units as well off of Ultima. So that's just a little pearl there of knowledge for you with regards to what you might want to do if you are going to use Ultima in your build, right? So you'd want to have a stand trigger. So that's the main deck. Okay, so just kind of leave it there if you want to take a picture, snapshot, your phone, what have you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the Gzone. The Gzone, honestly, I was kind of joking around with some of my friends about this just before I decided to put this video up. Kind of joking, kind of not. Gzone really only needs about 8 cards, which is how our Gzone size used to be. It was 8 cards. We would try to run maybe 3 or 4 G Guardians, maybe just 2, because we want to have options for stride. Of course, back then you didn't really have many options. A lot of times we would be running, you know, I know with Link Joker I was running Big Crunch and the Judgment Messiah and maybe one of the, like Blizza, you know, one of the Cray, and then we had our really awful G Guardian eventually, but that's another deck. This thing, so I had this thing sitting around in my boxes. I picked up, I think I picked up 3 boxes of Primclaw 2, and I just happened to have 2 of these. I was thinking, well, did I pull more of these? Did I give them to friends? Did I sell any of them? I don't think so. I just happen to have 2 of these. I've got another one on the way. I think running 3 might be smart. It seems to be what others are doing. And so I'm going to be running at this 3. I only have it at 2 right now. But the way this thing works is once per turn, turn a card up from your Gzone face up. And the one you're going to want to turn up is this, and we'll get to this in a second, Gancelot. So this unit gets all the abilities of one of your heart cards, and so that's going to be Thing Saver, right? So you're going to be able to actually legion this. That's right. This is going to have a legion mate. So it's going to be 15 plus the 9, and then the Thing Saver, you've got the 11 as well. So it's really wonky. It's interesting, but it works, which is really cool. And remember, for each unit, or on your Vanguard circle, for every each one of them is going to benefit from your, what am I trying to say? Where is it at? Here we go. Your force marker, right? Your gift. So each card is going to get plus 10. I shouldn't say each card, but each the leader and the mate. Okay. So the way it's going to work is you're going to be like this, right? In fact, ideally, you will have gone into this first. You will have made 2 markers and plus 1, right? So 2 markers plus the 1. Right onto this, stride onto this, flip this over, right? The way this card works is if it's face up in your Gzone, Blaster Blade for you gets resist. So this is going to be ideal. Okay. Ideal setup right here. There you go. There we go. Okay. Flogal, so you'll be able to restand. So then you're going to take the 4 cards from your discard, shuffle them in, get your Legion. And yeah, this is going to get all the abilities of this. So you're going to stride, it's going to get Legion, right? It's going to be able to do the restanding tricks for that first swing. This will pop off. This will now be, you'll have another copy of this or right over it. This will go away, basically. Okay, so it'll get a bit smaller, but you're getting to swing 3 times. And each time, both cards, this gets plus 20, this gets plus 20. So basically plus 40 to your Vanguard. It's pretty good, right? And so you want to have, you're probably going to be, you know, like this, because you may have strode with, if you went second, you strode when you were on him, right? And you want to stride on cluster, cluster. Might as well just call it cluster. In the end, that might be what it is. Crystaluster, cluster. You do want to stride with this because it's going to get all these abilities, right? It's going to get the extra drive check. It's going to be able to suck 2 cards in, make 2 markers. It's really, really good. So if you went second, you're going to be able to do this, and then you'll have what you really want. What I'm trying to get at is you'll have the GB3 online. You really want the GB3 now. If you went first, you may have been able to use one of your G guards. And in that case, you G guard. Okay, let's say you went first. You weren't able to do that with that. But let's say you went first. Okay, you G guarded. You're now at GB1. Now you stride, you're at GB2. You're going to use its ability, and you're going to make Blaster Blade resist. And now you're at GB3. So this is how you get to first stride, where you've got the other effect in play. And the other effect I mean is the effect where you are forcing your opponent to have to guard each attack with at least 3 cards. Okay, so you swing, counterblast 2, soul blast 2, go get Thing Saver, re-ride, re-legion from soul, swing, do it again, 2 more counterblast, 2 more soul blast, re-ride, legion, swing, and then over here, depending on what you checked, you might have just piled a bunch of stuff on here. You swing with this, right? And then you counterblast 1, that 5th counterblast goes into soul, you restand, and then you swing again. And if you'd hit an over trigger, this is able to drive check those 2 extra drive checks. It's pretty good, right? So that's how that works. Okay, hopefully I was clear. I almost said hopefully you followed it, but honestly, hopefully I was clear in showing that. So that's how you do it. That's how you get there. And yeah, so I hope you guys like the deck profile. I would like to hear what you're all doing. Those of you who actually also play Royal Paladin outside of other decks that maybe you know, you and I both play, that, you know, I typically talk about. Would love to hear your comments on what you're doing. Yeah, so pretty excited to bring this to you. Again, I really like this clan. I think there's a lot of promise with what you can do. Again, I cannot stress enough, extending games off the Vanguard is just, it's pretty powerful. And as I've mentioned before, I almost said as we've talked about before, I guess I'm just, you know, talking to a camera here, but now I'm talking to you, and I appreciate y'all out there. As I've said before, you know, Gear Chronicle, OTT, Dragonic Overlord is the epitome of that. The Overtrigger 4, Dragon Nation, you know, restanding your Vanguard. It's really something that's hard to hard guard. I did mention Bakun. I'm running a few of those in some of my decks, and I think in the end it's worth it because this kind of extension in the game is just that powerful. I expect to see it at tournaments, whether it's in person or virtual. We've got the Bro coming up, the Bushiroad Rumble online. I expect to see those kind of decks. I would even expect to see something like this. You know, is this the best at doing that? You know, Dragonic Overlord's probably king in that regard. Gear Chronicle can do it too. There are ways to kind of stop it. You've got Bermuda Triangle that can do this as well. There's a number, NLK. I mean, there's a number of decks that can do that. So, but this is Royal Paladin's way of doing it. You do have Sanctuary Guard, but in my opinion, this, in the end, if you can get to that second ride turn, if you can get there and get to Thingsaver, it's pretty brutal. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. If you're already doing that, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, stay safe. Peace.